The council chamber stretched 300 meters across, a massive dome of transparent metal that showed the stars beyond. Captain Foster stood at the human delegation platform, his hands clasped behind his back as he listened to the insults. He had heard worse in his 20 years of service, but today the words stung differently. The humans wish for expanded territory rights. Council Prime's voice echoed through the chamber. The reptilian leader's scales gleamed under the artificial lights. His long tail swept across the floor as he turned to address the other council members. This species has been part of our community for 47 years, yet they contribute almost nothing to our defense, our economy, or our scientific advancement. Chittering laughter rippled through the assembled delegates, kept his face neutral. Beside him, Ambassador Kate maintained her diplomatic smile. She had worn that same smile for 15 years, through countless meetings just like this one. Senator X rose from his platform. The politician's multiple eyes gleamed with obvious contempt. I propose we deny this request entirely. Furthermore, I suggest the humans should pay additional fees for the protection we provide them. Their soft world produces nothing of value. Their military is laughable. Their technology is primitive. More laughter. Felt his jaw tighten. He thought about the real human fleet, hidden in deep space. He thought about the weapons systems that could reduce this entire station to atoms in less than a minute. He thought about the 40 secret colonies that the council knew nothing about. Kate leaned close to him. "Stay calm," she whispered. "This is what we planned for." Nodded slightly. She was right. Earth Command had known this day would come. For 47 years, humanity had played the role of the weak newcomer. They had shared outdated technology. They had built slow ships. They had acted grateful for every scrap the council threw their way. All while they watched and learned and prepared. Ambassador said, his voice dripping with false politeness, "Do you have anything to say in defense of your petition?" Kate stepped forward. Her gray hair was pulled back in a tight bun. Her uniform was simple and plain, exactly as the council expected from the poor humans. She cleared her throat. "Honored council members," she began. "Humanity has been a loyal member of this community since we were welcomed 47 years ago. We have followed every law. We have paid every fee. We have asked for nothing beyond our basic rights." "And yet you contribute nothing," Senator X interrupted. "Your species is a drain on our resources." Kate's smile never wavered. "We contribute what we can with what we have." "Which is almost nothing," another delegate called out. Recognized him as Ambassador Al from the Empire. "Your military consists of how many ships? 47 outdated vessels. We have reports that most of them cannot even achieve faster-than-light speeds without assistance." Knew the truth. The 47 registered ships were decoys, civilian vessels modified to look like failed military experiments. The real fleet was something else entirely. Commander Hayes stood at the security station behind them. He was younger than only 35, but his eyes held the cold focus of a veteran soldier. Caught glance and gave the smallest shake of his head. "Not yet." Leaned forward on his platform. "I will be direct, Ambassador. The Council faces a serious threat. The Empire has been expanding into our frontier territories for 2 years. We have lost 17 colonies, thousands of lives. We need every species to contribute military forces to push them back." "We understand the threat," Kate said carefully. "Then you will contribute ships," stated. It was not a question. "We are assigning defensive positions to all member species. Humanity will deploy your entire fleet to the Delta system." Felt his blood run cold. Delta was a death trap. 3 major fleets had been destroyed there in the past 8 months. The Council was sending humans there to die. Kate maintained her composure. "May I consult with my military advisors?" "You may not," Senator X said sharply. "The Council has made its decision. You will deploy within 1 week, or humanity will face immediate economic sanctions. We will freeze your trade agreements. We will revoke your mining rights. We will isolate your species until you learn your place in this community. The threat was clear: submit or be crushed economically. Watched Kate carefully. He saw the slight tension in her shoulders, the way her fingers curled into fists at her sides. She was as angry as he was, but she was better at hiding it. We will need to send this decision to Earth for approval, Kate said quietly. You have 24 hours, replied. This meeting is concluded. The council delegates began filing out of the chamber. Many of them were still laughing and talking among themselves. To them, this was just another day of managing the lesser species. Heard fragments of their conversations as they passed. Those humans will be slaughtered at Delta. Good riddance, one less mouth to feed. Perhaps we can colonize their world once they are gone. I hear their planet has excellent water resources. Moved up beside and Kate as the chamber emptied. That was worse than we expected, he said quietly. Kate nodded. They are not even trying to hide it anymore. They want us dead. They want us out of the way, corrected. Dead is just the easiest method. They walked together toward the human delegation quarters. The station corridors were busy with aliens of a dozen different species. None of them paid attention to the three humans. Why would they? Humans were nothing. Weak, harmless, barely worth noticing. Inside the delegation quarters, Kate immediately activated the secure communication system. The walls glowed with a faint blue light as the encryption engaged. No one outside this room would hear what was said. Earth Command, this is Ambassador, she said into the communicator. Code phrase, winter morning. The response came back in seconds. Confirmed. We are receiving your signal. Report. Kate took a deep breath, could see the weight of 47 years of deception lifting from her shoulders. The Council has issued an ultimatum. They are sending our registered fleet to a known death zone. If we refuse, they will impose sanctions designed to destroy our economy. They believe this will force us into submission or eliminate us as a problem. There was a pause. Then the voice from Earth Command came back and heard something he had been waiting years to hear. Acknowledged, Ambassador. You are authorized to proceed with protocol revelation. The Council has made their choice. Now we make ours. Kate looked at and all three of them understood what this meant. No more hiding. No more playing weak. No more letting the galaxy walk over humanity. Understood, Earth Command, Kate said. She straightened her uniform. Transmitting authorization codes now. She pulled a small device from her pocket. It had been hidden there for 15 years, waiting for this moment. She pressed her thumb to the scanner. The device beeped once. Across human space, in 40 hidden star systems, a signal was received. Admiral Cross stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Force flagship Defiant. He watched the authorization code appear on his screen and allowed himself a cold smile. All ships, he said calmly. This is Admiral Cross. Stand to battle stations. Recall all personnel from leave. Begin final preparations. In 1 week, the galaxy is going to learn what humanity really is. Back on the Council station, Kate looked at and contact our ship captains. Tell them to prepare for deployment to Delta. Should we send the decoy fleet or the real one? Asked. Kate's smile was nothing like the diplomatic expression she had worn in the Council chamber. This smile was sharp and cold. Send the real one, Commander. It is time the galaxy stopped underestimating us. Felt a surge of satisfaction. For 47 years, humanity had bent its knee. They had taken insults. They had watched the Council exploit and abuse species after species. They had documented every crime, every injustice, every act of cruelty. And now, finally, they would respond. One more thing, Kate said. She activated the communication system again. Send a message to all human colonies. Tell them the waiting is over. Tell them we are done holding back. Delta system was a graveyard. Commander stood on the bridge of the Defiant and studied the debris fields floating through space. He counted the remains of at least 30 ships from various Council species. Some of them were still intact enough to identify. Most were just scattered metal and frozen atmosphere. "Tactical analysis complete, sir," Lieutenant reported from her station. "We have located the battle group, 27 capital ships, 43 support vessels, and approximately 200 fighter craft. They are positioned in standard formation around the fourth planet." Nodded, standard formation. That was their first mistake. The galaxy fought wars the same way they had for thousands of years. Rigid formations, predictable tactics, honor-bound combat that put ceremony ahead of victory. Humanity had no such limitations. "Send signal to Shadow and Horizon," ordered. "Begin approach pattern Delta 7. "Yes, sir," replied. Her fingers moved across her console with practiced efficiency. She had been with him for 8 years, and she knew his methods well. Observer Al stood near the back of the bridge. The diplomat had been assigned by the Council to document the human failure. Could feel the alien's contempt radiating across the room. "Commander," Al said, his voice filled with false concern. "Perhaps you should request reinforcements. The destroyed 3 Council fleets in this system. Your 3 ships cannot possibly succeed where 60 failed." Turned to face him. "Thank you for your concern, Observer. We will handle this." Al's antennae twitched with barely suppressed amusement. He was already composing his report in his head. Could imagine the words. The humans engaged with typical foolish bravery. They were destroyed within the first hour of combat. Their sacrifice, while noble, accomplished nothing. The observer had no idea what was about to happen. "All ships report ready, sir," said. "We are in position." Pulled up the tactical display. The 3 human vessels appeared on the screen as small dots. The fleet looked massive by comparison. To anyone watching, this was suicide. "Remove the safety protocols," said calmly. "Begin combat sequence." Across the bridge, control panels lit up with new displays. Weapons systems that had been hidden for 47 years came online. Engine cores that had been running at 30% capacity surged to full power. Armor plating that looked worn and damaged reconfigured into advanced defensive screens. The Defiant transformed. So did Shadow and Horizon. 3 outdated cargo vessels became 3 of the most advanced warships in the galaxy. Observer Al stepped forward in shock. "What is this? What are you doing?" "Winning," said simply. He activated the ship-wide communication system. "All hands, this is Commander. For 47 years we have hidden what we truly are. Today that ends. Today we show the galaxy what humans can do. All stations engage." The Defiant accelerated, not the slow, laboring push of Council ships. This was instant, devastating speed. The ship went from stationary to combat velocity in under 3 seconds. Shadow and Horizon matched the movement perfectly. In the flagship, Warlord watched the human ships approach on his display screens. He had heard the Council speak of humans, weak creatures, soft, easily frightened. He expected them to run or beg for mercy. Instead, the 3 small ships were charging directly at his entire fleet. "Foolish," muttered. "Target the lead vessel. All batteries fire when in range." The fleet opened fire. Plasma bolts and missile salvos filled the space between the 2 forces. Enough firepower to vaporize a small moon streaked toward the 3 human ships. None of it hit. The Defiant rolled to starboard in a maneuver that should have torn the ship apart. Shadow dropped below the plane of combat, moving in 3 dimensions while the expected 2-dimensional warfare. Horizon simply accelerated straight through the weapon's fire, its defensive screens absorbing impacts that would have destroyed any Council vessel. "Return fire," ordered. "Target their flagship full salvo." The Defiant's weapons systems engaged. That used magnetic acceleration to fire projectiles at a fraction of light speed. Laser arrays that could cut through hull plating like paper. missiles that could adjust their trajectory in real time, making them nearly impossible to intercept. The flagship rocked under the impact, or grabbed his command chair to keep from falling. Alarms screamed across his bridge. 3 sections reported hull breaches. His shield generators were failing. From 3 shots had done more damage than the entire Council fleet had managed in 2 years of warfare. "How is this possible?" Or shouted. "Return fire, all ships converge on the human vessels." The fleet broke formation, trying to surround the 3 human ships. It was the worst decision they could have made. In rigid formation, they had at least some defensive coordination. Scattered, they were vulnerable. Lieutenant smiled as she worked her console. "Commander, they are separating, transmitting target priorities to Shadow and Horizon." "Acknowledged," said. "Begin systematic elimination. Focus fire on their capital ships first." What followed was not a battle, it was a demonstration. The Defiant moved through the fleet like a predator among prey. Every shot found its target. Every maneuver was executed with inhuman precision. S crew had trained for this moment their entire careers. They knew their ship better than they knew their own bodies. Shadow took out 3 cruisers in under 2 minutes. Their captain, Commander Lisa Grant, had been flying combat simulations since she was 16. She knew every weakness in ship design. She exploited each one with ruthless efficiency. Horizon engaged the fighter screen. The enemy pilots quickly learned that human fighters were nothing like Council aircraft. Human pilots had neural interfaces that let them react in milliseconds. Their fighters moved with impossible agility, powered by engines that had been refined through centuries of atmospheric combat on Earth. Observer Al watched in stunned silence. His recording equipment captured everything, but his mind could barely process what he was seeing. The humans were not just winning. They were dominating. 3 ships against 70, and the fleet was being systematically destroyed. "How long have you been hiding this?" Al asked quietly. Kept his eyes on the tactical display. "Since we joined the Council, we watched how you treated new species. We saw the pattern. Every newcomer gets exploited, their resources taken, their people treated as inferiors. We decided that would not happen to us." "So you deceived us," Al said. "We protected ourselves," corrected. "There is a difference." On the flagship, Warlord was facing the truth. His fleet was losing. He had conquered 17 Council colonies. He had crushed 12 Allied fleets. He had never faced defeat. Until now. "Open a channel to the human commander," he said through clenched teeth. The communication system crackled to life. His face appeared on the screen. He looked calm, almost bored. "I am Warlord of the Empire," said. "I wish to discuss terms." "Unconditional surrender," said immediately. "Your fleet will power down all weapons and engines. Your crews will transfer to evacuation vessels. You will leave this system and return all territories you have taken from the Council worlds. You will pay reparations to the families of those you killed." Or felt rage building in his chest. "And if I refuse?" His expression did not change. "Then we will destroy every ship in your fleet, starting with yours. You have 30 seconds to decide." The connection cut off, looked around his bridge. His officers were wounded, bleeding, exhausted. His ship was failing. Half his fleet was already disabled or destroyed. He had spent his entire life winning. Today, he learned what it felt like to lose. "All ships," he said quietly, "stand down, we surrender." On the Defiant, watched as the fleet powered down their weapons, checked her console and nodded confirmation. "Sir, we are receiving surrender signals from all remaining vessels," she reported. "They are requesting evacuation assistance." "Granted," said. "Send medical teams to any ship that needs them. Take their wounded to our medical bays." Observer Al stepped forward. "You are helping them after they tried to kill you." "They surrendered," said. "That means the fighting is over. We do not kill defeated enemies. We do not torture prisoners. We do not conquer for the sake of conquest. That is what makes us different from the Council. He turned to face Al directly. You need to understand something, Observer. Humanity is done being treated as inferior. We are done watching the Council abuse weaker species. We are done holding back. From this moment forward, the galaxy will know what we really are. Al's antennae drooped. What are you? Smiled. It was not a friendly expression. We are the species that spent 10,000 years learning how to kill each other. We got very good at it. Then we decided to stop fighting among ourselves and look to the stars. We spent 47 years watching the galaxy and learning its secrets. Now we are ready to take our place, not as victims, not as subjects, as equals. He activated the ship-wide communication system again. All ships, prepare to return to Council space. Admiral Cross, you are clear to bring the rest of the fleet out of hiding. It is time the Council saw what they have been underestimating. Observer Al felt a chill run through his body. The rest of the fleet, how many ships are we talking about? Checked his tactical display. Our official count was 47 ships, correct? Yes, Al said. The actual number is 847 capital ships, said, plus support vessels, fighters, and defensive platforms. Earth has been building a military for half a century. We are the third largest navy in the galaxy. We always were. We just did not tell anyone. The observer's legs nearly gave out. 800 ships. The Council had no idea. All this time, the humans had been pretending to be weak while building an empire in secret. What happens now? Al asked. Looked at him. Now you take this recording back to the Council. You show them what happened here. You tell them that humanity demands a new agreement. Equal rights, equal representation, equal respect. If they refuse, they will learn exactly how powerful we truly are. He paused, then added, but tell them this as well. We do not seek conquest, we seek justice. We want a galaxy where new species are welcomed, not exploited, where strength protects the weak instead of preying on them. If the Council can agree to that, we will be their strongest allies. If not, we will be their biggest problem. Observer Al nodded slowly. He looked at the tactical display showing the destroyed fleet. Then he looked at the 3 human ships, barely damaged despite the intense combat. He had come here to document human failure. Instead, he had witnessed the beginning of a new era. The galaxy would never be the same. The emergency session of the Galactic Council began exactly 6 hours after Observer Al returned from Delta. Kate stood at the human platform, but this time she was not alone. Admiral Cross stood beside her in full military dress. Commander Hayes flanked her other side. Behind them, on display screens, images of the human fleet hung in space like a promise and a threat. Council Prime slammed his claw against his podium. This is an outrage. The humans have violated every trust placed in them. They have built an illegal military. They have hidden colonies. They have deceived this council for 47 years. Kate let him finish. She had learned patience over the past decades. When the chamber finally fell silent, she spoke. You are correct on all counts, Council Prime, she said calmly. We did hide our true capabilities. We did establish secret colonies. We did deceive you. We had excellent reasons for every decision. Senator X rose from his platform. The politician was visibly shaking with rage. You admit to these crimes. You should be expelled from this council. Your species should face sanctions. Sit down, Senator, Kate said. Her voice carried no anger, only cold certainty. You are in no position to threaten us anymore. The chamber erupted in angry chatter. Kate waited for silence. When it did not come, Admiral Cross activated a small device on his wrist. The sound dampeners in the chamber engaged, forcing quiet. Thank you, Admiral, Kate said. She touched a control on her podium. The display screens around the chamber changed. Let me show you why we made the choices we did. The first image appeared. It showed a species Kate did not recognize. They looked vaguely reptilian, with 4 arms and a crest of horns. "This is the species," Kate said. "They joined the Council 73 years ago. Within 5 years, the Council had taken control of their resource-rich. They were forced into labor agreements that amounted to slavery. 30 years later, they went extinct. Their culture is gone. Their language is forgotten. The Council strip-mined their world and moved on." She changed the image. A new species appeared, like Senator X but with different coloring. The Collective. They joined 80 years ago. The Council offered protection agreements that seemed generous. Within 10 years, those agreements had transferred ownership of every colony to Council corporations. They exist now only as workers on worlds that used to belong to them. Kate changed the image again. And again. 23 species in total. Every one of them had joined the Council with hope and trust. Everyone had been systematically exploited. "We watched this pattern," Kate said. "We saw what happens to new species. We understood that if we showed our true strength immediately, you would see us as a threat and unite against us. If we showed weakness, you would exploit us like all the others. So we chose a third path." "Deception," said coldly. "Survival," Kate corrected. "We gave you what you expected: simple technology, weak military, limited colonies. While you dismissed us, we built our real civilization in places you never thought to look." Ambassador Sanders stepped forward from the human delegation. She had spent 10 years studying galactic psychology and politics. She had written 3 books on the subject, all published under false names. "The Council system is fundamentally predatory," said. "Established species maintain power by keeping new species dependent. You control faster-than-light technology. You control trade routes. You control resource allocation. Any species that joins the Council must accept inferior status or face isolation and economic collapse." "That is how civilization works," Senator X said. "The strong guide the weak." "The strong exploit the weak," replied. "Let us be honest about what this really is. You wanted Earth because our planet has abundant water and mineral resources. You wanted humanity providing cheap labor. You expected us to be grateful for scraps while you took everything we had." She pulled up another image. This one showed Senator X himself giving a speech 5 years earlier. His words appeared in text below his image. "We must be patient with the human question. In time, they will accept their place as resource providers. Their world will make an excellent agricultural colony once we relocate the majority of their population to labor facilities." The chamber went very quiet. Senator X's mandibles clicked nervously. "That speech was given to a closed economic summit," said. "You did not know humans had learned to bypass your security protocols. We have been listening to your private conversations for decades. We know exactly what you planned for us." President Hayes appeared on the main display screen. She was broadcasting from Earth, addressing the Council directly for the first time in her 10-year presidency. "Good day, honored Council members," she said. Her voice was pleasant but firm. "I am President Hayes of the United Earth Government. I want to clarify some facts that apparently need clarification. Earth's population is not 8 billion as we reported. It is 24 billion. Our industrial capacity is not limited to our home system. We have 40 colonies across 20 star systems. Our military is not 47 outdated vessels. It is 847 capital ships, with support fleets and defensive installations." She paused, letting the numbers sink in. "We have fusion power generation that is 3 times more efficient than your matter-antimatter reactors. We have quantum computing systems that make your binary networks look primitive. We have medical technology that can cure diseases you consider incurable. We have agricultural methods that could solve food shortages on a dozen Council worlds." "All hidden," said, "all kept from this Council." "Yes," President Hayes agreed. "All kept safe from a Council that has proven, time and again, that it cannot be trusted with power over weaker species." She leaned forward, looking directly at the camera. Let me be very clear. Humanity will not be the 24th species exploited by this council. We will not surrender our resources. We will not accept inferior status. We will not bow to threats of sanctions or isolation. Admiral Cross spoke for the first time. His voice was deep and carried the weight of military authority. The Council attempted to eliminate humanity by sending us to Delta. You expected them to destroy our fleet. Instead, we destroyed theirs, with 3 ships. We took no casualties. We completed the mission in under 3 hours. The battle you are going to see took place 6 hours ago. He activated a playback of the Delta engagement. The Council watched in silence as 3 human vessels dismantled an enemy fleet that had crushed 12 Allied fleets. They watched tactics and weapons they had never seen before. They watched humanity stop holding back. When the playback ended, Admiral Cross continued. This is what we are capable of. This is what we have always been capable of. We chose not to use this power because we wanted to observe your civilization first. We wanted to understand the galaxy before revealing ourselves. What we found was deeply disappointing. Kate took over the presentation. We found a council that preaches unity but practices exploitation. A system that claims to protect weak species but actually preys on them. A civilization that has stagnated because you are more interested in maintaining power than advancing together. She changed the display again. This time it showed comparison charts. In the 47 years since humanity joined the Council, the galaxy has made minimal technological progress. Medical advances have been incremental. Engineering improvements have been minor. Scientific discoveries have been limited. Do you know why? No one answered. Because you actively suppress innovation, Kate said. New ideas threaten established power structures. Species that develop advanced technology become competitors instead of resources. So you control access to education. You limit research funding. You make sure that no one advances too quickly. Humanity advanced very quickly, observed. How did you manage this? We never stopped competing with ourselves, Admiral Cross said. Earth has over 200 nations. Each one pushes the others to be better. We do not have a single monolithic government controlling all innovation. We have millions of researchers all trying to outdo each other. Competition drives progress. Kate pulled up one final image. It showed a document, clearly old with human writing. When we first encountered your scout ships 47 years ago, our leaders faced a choice. Some wanted to reveal our full capabilities immediately. They thought honesty was the right approach. Others, including myself, argued for patience. We studied your council's history. We saw the pattern. We chose to protect our species first and worry about your feelings later. She looked directly at. Today, humanity makes new demands. We want equal representation on this council. We want equal access to trade routes and resources. We want the exploitation of new species to end. We want a fundamental restructuring of how this council operates. And if we refuse, asked, then we leave the council, Kate said simply. We take our technology with us. We offer protection to any species that wants to leave with us. We establish our own alliance based on mutual respect instead of exploitation. And we make it clear that any attempt to punish us for leaving will be met with the full force of human military might. The chamber erupted again. Some delegates shouted in anger. Others called for immediate military action against humanity. A few sat in thoughtful silence. President Hayes spoke again from Earth. We do not want war. We want change. The galaxy can be better than this. Species can work together as true equals. Innovation can flourish instead of being suppressed. But that requires you to give up power that you have hoarded for too long. Senator X stood. You expect us to simply hand over control, to let humans dictate policy. No, Kate said. We expect you to share control, to make decisions together, to treat new species with respect instead of contempt. If you cannot do that, then humanity will create a new alliance that can. Ambassador Sanders added one more point. 13 species have already contacted us privately. They want protection agreements. They want to leave the Council and join a human-led alliance. They see what we did at Delta. They understand that we can protect them from the threats you use to keep them dependent. The implication was clear. The Council's power was based on being the only option for species seeking security. If humanity offered an alternative, the whole system would collapse. Looked around the chamber. He saw fear on many faces, fear of human military power, fear of losing control, fear of change. But he also saw something else on a few faces. Hope. Some of the younger delegates from species that had joined recently looked at the humans with obvious admiration. They wanted what humanity was offering. "This session is adjourned," said heavily. "The Council will deliberate on the human demands. We will reconvene in 3 days with our decision." As the chamber emptied, Kate remained at her platform. Admiral Cross stood beside her. "Do you think they will agree?" he asked quietly. "Some will," Kate said. "Others will fight us. But the galaxy is changing whether they like it or not. We made sure of that." She looked at the empty council seats. For 47 years she had stood in this chamber being talked down to, being treated as inferior, being dismissed. Never again. The distress signal came through at 300 station time. Commander Chris Logan was already awake, running combat simulations in the training room aboard the human military station Fortress Prime. He had never needed much sleep. His team said he ran on coffee and determination. The alert sounded across his communicator. He tapped it immediately. "Logan here." "Commander, we have an emergency transmission from Tau," the communications officer said. "Colony under attack. Syndicate slavers. They are requesting immediate assistance." Chris was already moving toward the command center. "How many civilians?" 4,000, multiple species. Approximately 300 are human." "Assemble strike team, Baker," Chris ordered. "Full combat. I want us in jump space in 10 minutes. "Yes, sir." Chris reached the command center and pulled up the tactical display. Tau was a mining colony on the frontier. Small, relatively undefended, exactly the kind of target slavers preferred. The syndicate had been operating for decades. They raided colonies, took prisoners, and sold them to labor camps across the galaxy. The Council did nothing to stop them. Frontier colonies were expendable. Ambassador Kate appeared on his communication screen. She was at the Council station, still negotiating with the delegates. "Commander Logan," she said, "I saw the alert. What is your assessment?" "Standard slaver raid," Chris replied. "They will take as many civilians as they can fit in their ships, kill anyone who resists. The colony garrison has 20 security officers with light weapons. They cannot hold against a syndicate battle group." Kate nodded. "The Council is debating response options. They estimate it will take 3 days to assemble a rescue force." 3 days. Chris felt anger rising in his chest. "Those people will be gone in 3 hours. "I know," Kate said. "That is why I am authorizing immediate human response. Show them what our protection means. Show them the difference between human values and Council bureaucracy." "Understood, Ambassador," Chris said. "We will bring those people home." The connection ended. Chris turned to his tactical officer, ETA to Tau. 2 hours at maximum jump speed." "Too long," Chris said. He activated his team communicator. "Baker team, this is Logan. We are going in fast and hard. Expect heavy resistance. Expect hostages in danger. Expect zero margin for error. This is what we trained for. Let us show the galaxy what human soldiers can do." Corporal Stone was already suiting up when Chris reached the deployment bay. She was 28, small and fast, with brown hair pulled back in a tight ponytail. She had lost her older sister to pirates 6 years ago, before humanity revealed its strength. She had been waiting for a chance like this. "Sir," she said, saluting. "Medical gear loaded, I am ready." "Good," Chris said. "You are on point for civilian evacuation. Once we secure the hostages, you get them to safety." "Yes, sir." The rest of Baker's team assembled quickly. 12 of the best soldiers humanity had produced. They wore advanced combat armor with integrated shields. They carried weapons that fired magnetically accelerated projectiles. They had trained for years in hostage rescue scenarios. The transport ship Rapid Response launched from Fortress Prime. It was small, fast, and packed with enough firepower to level a city. Chris sat in the command chair and reviewed the colony layout on his tactical display. Council Observer sat in a secondary seat. The feline diplomat had been assigned to document human military operations. He looked nervous. "Commander Logan said, "The Syndicate is extremely dangerous. They have never been successfully confronted. Even Council military forces avoid direct engagement." "That is because Council forces follow rules the Syndicate ignores," Chris said without looking up from his display. "We do not have that limitation." "What do you mean?" Chris finally looked at him. "The Council fights with honor, formal challenges, announced attacks, rules of engagement that protect the enemy as much as your own people. Humans learned a long time ago that honor does not protect innocence. Victory does." "That sounds brutal," said quietly. "It is efficient," Chris corrected. "We do not want to fight, but when we must, we fight to win as quickly as possible. That minimizes casualties on both sides." The ship dropped out of jump space at the edge of the Tau system. Immediately, alarms sounded. "Contact," the pilot called out. 3 Syndicate cruisers in orbit around the colony. They have the settlement locked down. Energy signatures indicate they are loading prisoners onto their ships." "Time until they can jump to safety?" Chris asked. 15 minutes, sir." "Then we have 14 minutes to stop them," Chris said. "Take us in. Full stealth approach. Use the moon for cover." The Rapid Response moved through space like a ghost. Human stealth technology was decades ahead of anything the galaxy had seen. The Syndicate ships had no idea death was approaching. On the surface, Al watched his crews load the last of the prisoners. The colony had fallen easily. The garrison surrendered after losing 3 officers. Now he had 4,000 new slaves. The profits would be enormous. "Movement detected," his sensor officer suddenly called out. "Unknown ship approaching at high speed." Al looked at his displays. "Identify." "Signature does not match any known vessel. It appears to be." The officer paused. "Human." Al felt a chill. He had heard the reports from Delta. He had heard about the human fleet. He had not expected them to respond to a frontier raid. "Raise shields," he ordered. "Prepare weapons. We have hostages. They will not attack." He was wrong. The Rapid Response came out of stealth directly above the Syndicate flagship. Chris had calculated the approach perfectly. They were too close for the Syndicate's main weapons to target them, but close enough for human weapons to be devastatingly accurate. "Deploy team," Chris ordered. "Go, go, go." Baker's team launched from the transport in individual drop pods. They hit the Syndicate ship's hull like meteors, their armor absorbing the impact. Stone cut through the hull plating with a plasma torch in under 20 seconds. The team poured into the ship. Syndicate soldiers responded immediately. They had numbers and position. They expected that to be enough. It was not. Moved through the corridors like liquid death. Her armor systems showed her enemy positions through the walls. She fired around corners without exposing herself. Syndicate soldiers fell before they saw her coming. "Civilian detention area located," she reported. "Third deck, section 12. Multiple hostages, heavily guarded." "Copy that," Chris said from the transport. "Proceed with extraction. Baker 2, flank left. Baker 3, secure the engine room." The operation unfolded with mechanical precision. Human soldiers had advantages the Syndicate could not counter: better armor, better weapons, better training, better coordination, most importantly, better motivation. These soldiers were not fighting for profit. They were fighting for innocent lives. Reached the detention area. 20 Syndicate guards stood between her and the hostages. She did not hesitate. "Stun grenades, 3-second delay," she said into her team communicator. Then she threw 4 small devices around the corner. The grenades detonated. Bright light and deafening sound filled the corridor. The Syndicate guards collapsed, their nervous systems overloaded. Armor filtered the effects automatically. She moved through the dazed guards and reached the detention cell door. Inside, 4,000 frightened civilians huddled together. Multiple species, families, children, elderly, all taken from their homes to be sold like property. Cut through the lock, the door opened. "I am Corporal Stone, Earth Defense Force," she said clearly. "You are safe now. We are taking you home." A human colonist named Alex Warren stepped forward. He was 45, a mine supervisor with a wife and 2 kids. He had watched the Syndicate kill his neighbor for resisting. "You came," he said, his voice shaking. "We did not think anyone would come." "We came," said. "Now stay close and follow my directions. We are leaving." Chris coordinated the evacuation from the transport. Baker's team had secured the key sections of the Syndicate ship. The engine room was locked down. The bridge was captured. Al himself was in restraints. "All civilians evacuated to the rapid response," reported. "We have them, sir." "Excellent work," Chris said. "Demolition charges set." "Affirmative. Syndicate ship will be inoperable in 30 minutes. Then let us go home." The operation had taken 12 minutes. 12 minutes from arrival to mission complete. 0 civilian casualties. 0 human casualties. The Syndicate had lost 3 ships and over 200 personnel. As the rapid response pulled away, Al watched in disbelief. His criminal empire had operated for decades. The Council had never been able to stop him. Now 3 human ships had destroyed his entire operation in less time than it took to load cargo. "How did they do this?" he asked the human soldier guarding him. The soldier, a young man named Jake, looked at him coldly. "You fight for profit, we fight for people. That is the difference." Observer watched the rescued civilians being treated by human medical teams. He saw children being reunited with parents. He saw injured being cared for with advanced human medicine. He saw families holding each other and crying with relief. "This is incredible," he said to Chris. "You saved them all." "That is what we do," Chris said simply. "We protect." Among the rescued was a young child, no more than 6 years old. His parents had been killed by the Syndicate during the raid. He sat alone, crying quietly. Knelt beside him. They were humanity's recent enemies. This child's species had tried to kill humans at Delta. None of that mattered to her. "Hey there," she said gently. "What is your name?" The child looked up at her with large, frightened eyes. "Is a good name," said. "I am. You are safe now, I promise." "My parents," the child started to cry again. Picked him up carefully. "I know, I am so sorry, but you are not alone. We will take care of you." She carried the child to the medical bay. Human doctors examined him, treated his minor injuries, and found him food. Throughout it all, stayed with him. Observer recorded everything. This was not what he expected from a military operation. The humans had been ruthlessly efficient against the Syndicate soldiers, but with the civilians, with the children, they showed incredible gentleness. Ambassador Kate appeared on the communication screen again. "Commander Logan, status report." "Mission successful, Ambassador," Chris said. "All civilians rescued. 0 friendly casualties. 3 Syndicate ships disabled. We have captured Al and 217 of his crew. They will face justice." Kate smiled. Excellent work, Commander. The Council is watching. Show them what happened here. Chris turned to Observer. Observer, your report will be transmitted to the Council. Yes, said quietly. They will see everything. Good, Chris said. Tell them this. Humanity will respond to any threat against innocence. We do not care if they are human or alien. We do not care if the Council considers them important or expendable. Any innocent person who calls for help will receive it. That is our promise to the galaxy. Alex Warren approached Chris as the rapid response prepared to dock at the colony. Commander, I need to know something. Why did you come? We are just a frontier colony. The Council would have debated for days. Chris looked at him steadily. Because you needed help, that is all the reason we need. But we are nothing to Earth. This colony has no strategic value. You are not nothing, Chris said firmly. You are people. Your lives have value. Your families matter. That is what makes you worth protecting. Not strategic importance, not economic value. You are worth protecting simply because you exist. Alex felt tears in his eyes. Thank you. Thank your neighbors, Chris said. They sent the distress call. They fought to keep people safe until we arrived. They are the real heroes. The rapid response docked at the colony. The civilians disembarked to cheering crowds. The colony had expected to lose everything. Instead, they had been saved in less time than it took to prepare lunch. Stone carried Young down the ramp. A diplomat was waiting at the bottom. He had come from a nearby settlement when he heard about the attack. This child, the diplomat asked. He lost his parents, said. Does he have family? He has us, the diplomat said. He took the child carefully. Then he looked at with something like wonder. You saved him. You saved a child after we tried to kill you at Delta. Met his gaze. He is a child. That is all that matters. The diplomat's eyes were wet. Thank you. On behalf of my people, thank you. As they prepared to leave, Observer approached Chris one final time. Commander, I must ask, how long can humanity maintain this standard? Responding to every distress call, protecting every innocent. The galaxy is vast. The threats are endless. Chris looked out at the rescued civilians now safe with their families. As long as necessary, Observer. For as long as people need protection, we will provide it. That is what it means to have power. Not using it for conquest. Using it for good. He turned to leave, then paused. Tell the Council what you saw today. Tell them humanity is done watching innocents suffer. Tell them we are drawing a line. Anyone who threatens innocent people will answer to us. Observer watched the human ships depart. He had his report. He had his recordings. He had witnessed something the galaxy had not seen in centuries. Power used not for profit or conquest, but for pure protection. The galaxy was indeed changing, and maybe he thought it was changing for the better. 6 months had passed since humanity revealed its true strength. Ambassador Kate stood in the redesigned council chamber and barely recognized it. Gone were the tiered platforms that put some species above others. Now every delegation sat at the same level, arranged in a circle. Equal voices, equal rights. It had not been an easy transformation. Ambassador, Elder said from across the chamber. The ancient leader had emerged from centuries of isolation to witness the changes humanity brought. Your reforms continue to face resistance from the traditionalist factions. Kate nodded. Change is always difficult, especially when it requires those in power to share it. Elder smiled. They were an enigmatic species, older than any other in the galaxy. They had watched civilizations rise and fall. They had seen the council system develop from hopeful cooperation into exploitative hierarchy. My people from Galactic Affairs 3,000 years ago said, we had grown powerful much like humanity is now. We watched younger species struggle and fight. We could have guided them, protected them. Instead, we chose isolation. Why? Kate asked. Fear, admitted. We feared becoming tyrants. We feared that our power would corrupt us. So we hid in our distant worlds and watched the galaxy suffer without our help. It was cowardice dressed as wisdom. Kate considered this. What changed? Why reveal yourselves now? Because you showed us another path, said. Humanity could have conquered the Council. You had the strength. You had the justification. Instead, you demanded reform. You chose protection over domination. You reminded us what power should be used for. Captain Foster entered the chamber. He had been promoted to head of the new Galactic Security Council, a joint human-alien force dedicated to protecting frontier colonies and responding to threats. His face showed exhaustion, but his eyes held satisfaction. Ambassador, he said, the delegation has arrived for the treaty signing. Kate felt a surge of pride. The Empire, once humanity's enemy, was about to sign a permanent peace treaty. More than that, they were joining the Reformed Council as full members with equal rights. Former warlord entered the chamber with his advisors. He looked different from the arrogant warrior who had threatened Delta 6 months ago. Defeat had taught him humility. Human mercy had taught him something more valuable. Ambassador, said, bowing his head slightly, I come to formalize what my people have already accepted in their hearts. The Empire wishes to join the Reformed Council and accept the new Charter of Species Rights. Kate stood and approached him. Warlord, does your government understand the terms? No exploitation of weaker species. No military conquest. Disputes resolved through arbitration rather than warfare. We understand, said. My people fought for 200 years to build an empire. We crushed 17 council colonies. We took what we wanted. Then we met humanity, and we learned that true strength is not measured in conquest. He looked directly at Kate. You defeated us. You could have destroyed my entire fleet. You could have invaded instead you offered peace. You offered cooperation. You showed us mercy when we deserved none. That changed us. Council Prime watched from his platform. He had fought the reforms initially, but eventually accepted them, partly because he understood the alternative was human-led secession, partly because he saw the benefits emerging. The Council recognizes the petition, said. By the new charter, all member species have equal voices. We vote on acceptance. Those in favor. Hands, claws, tentacles, and other appendages rose around the chamber. The vote was not unanimous, but it was overwhelming. The Empire is welcomed as a full member of the Reformed Galactic Council, announced. Bowed to the assembled delegates. Then he turned to Kate. I have a request, Ambassador. My government wishes to send officers to the Human Military Academy. We want to learn your methods, not for conquest but for defense. Request approved, Kate said. Commander is currently training officers from 7 allied species. They are welcome to join. Across the galaxy, those training programs were transforming military doctrine. Commander stood in a classroom aboard the human military station Fortress Prime. 20 officers from 6 different species sat at attention. They were learning tactics that challenged everything they thought they knew about warfare. The Council taught you to fight with honor, said. That honor prioritizes tradition over effectiveness. It values ceremony over victory. It gives your enemies predictable patterns to exploit. A young officer raised his hand. Are you saying honor has no place in warfare? I am saying honor should be in your purpose, not your tactics, replied. You fight honorably by protecting innocents and showing mercy to defeated enemies. Your tactics should be whatever achieves that goal most efficiently. Deception is not dishonorable if it saves lives. Surprise is not cowardly if it ends battles quickly. He pulled up a tactical display showing the Delta engagement. When we fought we used stealth, misdirection, and overwhelming force. The battle lasted 3 hours instead of 3 months. That saved lives on both sides. That is true honor. The officers were beginning to understand. Old prejudices about proper warfare were falling away. They were learning that protecting people mattered more than following tradition. President Hayes stood in the rebuilt Earth Defense Command Center. Around her, displays showed the current state of the galaxy. Crime rates had fallen by 70%. Frontier colonies that once lived in constant fear now developed peacefully. Species that had been exploited for generations were building their own economies. "Status report," she said to Admiral Cross. "The protection protocols are functioning as designed, Madam President," Cross replied. "We have responded to 43 distress calls in the past month, all civilians rescued. The criminal syndicates are collapsing. Many are surrendering before we even arrive." "What about the Council traditionalists?" "Senator X and his faction continue to oppose the reforms. However, they are losing support. Younger delegates see the benefits of the new system. Species that were being exploited are now thriving. The economic data supports our approach." Looked at the economic reports. Under the old council system, wealth flowed upward to established species. New species remained poor and dependent. Now, with equal access to trade routes and technology, the entire galaxy was experiencing growth. "There will always be those who prefer the old ways," said, "but the results speak for themselves. A fairer galaxy is a more prosperous galaxy." Young diplomat Emma Parker was preparing for her first major address to the council. She was 26, brilliant, and represented the generation that would inherit humanity's role in the galaxy. She had grown up after first contact. She had never known Earth as an isolated world. Kate met with her before the address, nervous. "Terrified," Emma admitted. "I'm speaking to beings who have been doing this for centuries." "And you are speaking for humanity," Kate said. "Remember what that means. We are not the strongest because we have the biggest fleet. We are strongest because we changed the galaxy for the better. That is the message you carry." Emma nodded. She walked into the council chamber with her head high. The assembled delegates waited. "Honored members," she began. "6 months ago, humanity revealed our true capabilities. Many of you felt betrayed. You thought we had deceived you. You were right. We did deceive you. Today, I want to explain why that deception was necessary and what it taught us." She activated a display showing the past 6 months of changes. Before our revelation, the council system exploited new species. 23 species in 400 years had been economically enslaved. Frontier colonies were abandoned to pirates and slavers. Military protection was reserved for wealthy core worlds. That was the system we refused to join honestly. Emma paused, looking around the chamber. "We hid our strength because we feared you would either crush us or exploit us. We were right to fear. But our deception also taught us something important. It taught us patience. It taught us to observe before acting. It taught us that power must be earned through trust, not taken through force." She changed the display to show current statistics. In 6 months, the reformed council has achieved more than the old council managed in decades. Crime is down. Economic growth is up. Scientific collaboration has produced medical advances that will save millions of lives. Species that were enemies are now partners. This is what cooperation achieves. Council Prime listened carefully. He had privately apologized to Kate for how the council treated humanity. He understood now that the old system had been failing long before humans arrived. "But there is more work to do," Emma continued. "We have rebuilt the council structure. We have established equal rights. We have created protection protocols. Now we must face a larger challenge." Elder leaned forward. This was what they had been waiting to discuss. 3,000 years ago," Emma said, from the galaxy. They did so because they detected signals from beyond explored space. Signals that suggested a threat greater than anything the galaxy had faced. Elder, would you share what your people discovered?" My people built an early warning network at the edge of known space. For centuries, it detected nothing. Then, approximately 3,000 years ago, we began receiving signals. They suggested the presence of a massive civilization moving through the void between galaxies, a civilization that consumes everything in its path. The chamber went silent. "We call them the Harvesters," continued. "They are not conquerors in the traditional sense. They do not rule, they consume resources, technology, biological matter. They strip entire star systems and move on. 3,000 years ago, they were still distant. We calculated we had time to prepare. Instead, we hid." "How much time do we have now?" asked, his voice shaking. 200 years, said. "Perhaps less. The signals are growing stronger, they are coming." Emma spoke again. "This is why the Reformed Council matters. This is why equality matters. When the harvesters arrive, we will not survive divided. We need every species, every innovation, every world working together." She looked around the chamber. Humanity brought change because we refused to accept exploitation. Now we ask every species to accept a larger truth. We are not separate civilizations competing for resources. We are one galactic community facing a common threat. The question is not whether we will work together. The question is whether we will work together in time. Captain Foster and Commander stood in the new Joint Defense Command Center. Around them, officers from 20 species coordinated the construction of a unified defense fleet. 3,000 ships so far, said. The Council species contributed 2,000, our 800. The new members and reformed species provided the rest. Will it be enough? Asked. Against the harvesters, unknown, admitted. But it is more than we would have had under the old council. Unity gives us a chance. Commander Chris Logan entered with Stone. They had just returned from another frontier rescue mission. This time, they had trained local forces to defend themselves. Human protection meant more than just military response. It meant empowering others to protect themselves. 60 colonies now have trained defense forces, Chris reported. We are not building an empire. We are building a network of strong communities that can support each other. That is what will save us, added. Not fleets or weapons, communities that refuse to abandon each other. Ambassador Kate stood at the observation deck of the council station. Earth hung in the distance, blue and beautiful. She thought about the journey that brought them here. 47 years of patience, 6 months of transformation, a future that held both promise and threat. Elder joined her. Do you regret revealing your strength? Never, Kate said. Hiding was survival, but it was not living. This, what we are building now, this is worth fighting for. The harvesters will test everything we have built, warned. Then we will face them together, Kate said firmly. That is what we do, we protect. In the council chamber, the Reformed Assembly was voting on the new defense initiative. Species that had been enemies months ago now voted together. The measure passed unanimously. President Hayes addressed the galaxy from Earth. Today marks a turning point in galactic history. We face a threat unlike any we have known, but we face it as equals, as partners, as one community dedicated to protecting all life. This is humanity's promise to the galaxy. We will never stop holding back our support. We will never stop defending the innocent. We will never stop working toward a better future. Young, the child rescued from slavers, watched the broadcast from his new home. Human families had helped raise him alongside diplomats. He was learning both cultures. He represented the future, children who would never know the old divisions. Emma Parker concluded her address to the council. The galaxy changed forever not when humans stopped holding back our strength, but when we showed what strength truly means. Power without compassion is tyranny. Technology without wisdom is destruction. Military might without purpose is chaos. True strength is the choice to protect, not conquer. The choice to build, not destroy. The choice to unite, not divide. She looked at each delegate. Humanity made that choice. Now we ask the galaxy to make it with us, not because we demand it, not because we force it, because together we are stronger than any threat we face. The council rose in applause. Even the traditionalists who had opposed reform recognized the truth in her words. The old galaxy of exploitation and division was dying. A new galaxy of cooperation and mutual protection was being born. Kate met Emma after the address. "Your first speech to the council, how do you feel?" "Like we have started something important," Emma said. "Something that will outlast all of us." "That is exactly what we have done," Kate agreed. She looked at the young diplomat with pride. Emma and her generation would carry the responsibility forward. They would face the harvesters. They would build the future. Captain Foster stood on the bridge of the Defiant, now the flagship of the Joint Defense Fleet. Officers from a dozen species worked at stations around him. They were not human ships with alien observers. They were truly united crews, sharing knowledge and methods. "All fleets report ready, sir," his communications officer said. Looked at the tactical display showing 3,000 ships arrayed in coordinated formations. 6 months ago, this would have been impossible. Now it was reality. "Send message to all ships," he said. "We are not here to conquer, we are here to defend. We are not here to divide, we are here to unite. We are the shield that protects innocent life, today and always." The message broadcast across the fleet. In 1,000 different languages, crews acknowledged. They understood. They believed. On Earth, in a small school in Colorado, a teacher asked her students what they wanted to be when they grew up. A young girl raised her hand. "I want to protect people," she said. "Like Commander Stone, like Ambassador, like Captain Foster. I want to use my strength to help others." The teacher smiled. This was the generation raised knowing Earth's true power, but they did not dream of conquest or domination. They dreamed of protection and service. That was humanity's greatest achievement. Not the ships, not the weapons, not the technology, the choice to be guardians instead of tyrants. Ambassador Kate sent one final message to Earth Command. "The waiting is over, the hiding is over. We showed the galaxy what we are. Now comes the hard part, living up to what we promised." The response came back from President Hayes. "Then we will do what humans have always done. We will adapt. We will overcome. We will protect. The galaxy is watching. Let us show them what it means to be human." Kate looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the harvesters were coming, but they would not find a divided galaxy. They would find a united community. They would find species that had learned to work together. They would find humanity standing shoulder to shoulder with former enemies and new allies. They would find a galaxy that had learned what true strength meant. Elder approached Kate one last time before returning to space. "Your species has given me hope, Ambassador. For 3,000 years, my people hid from our responsibility. You have shown us what we should have been." "Then stand with us now," Kate said. "They have knowledge and technology the galaxy needs. Share it, help us prepare." Nodded slowly. "We will. The time for hiding has passed for all of us." As the delegation departed, Kate felt the weight of what they had built. A reformed council, a united defense, a galaxy learning to value cooperation over exploitation. It was not perfect. There were still problems, still conflicts, still those who clung to the old ways. But it was better, and it would keep getting better, because that was what the new galaxy promised, not perfection, progress. Commander Chris Logan stood with his team watching the sunset on a liberated colony world. They had just completed training the local defense force. Soon, they would move on to the next mission. There was always another mission. "Do you think it will last?" Stone asked. "This new galaxy we are building." "If we keep working at it," Chris said. "Change is not a single act. It is a continuous choice. Every day we choose to protect instead of conquer. Every day we choose to build instead of destroy. As long as we keep making that choice, it will last." Young Emma Parker prepared for her next assignment. She would be the first human ambassador to a newly contacted species on the frontier. She would be their introduction to the galactic community. She would show them that the galaxy had changed, that new species were welcomed as equals, not exploited as resources. She thought about Ambassador's words. You represent what humanity stands for. Make us proud. Emma intended to do exactly that. The galaxy had indeed changed forever when humans stopped holding back. But the change was not what the Council feared. It was not conquest or domination. It was revolution through compassion, power used for protection, strength employed for good. And as the stars turned overhead, 3,000 ships prepared to defend life itself. Not human life, not alien life, just life, because that was the promise humanity made to the galaxy. That was the promise they would keep.